The night shift holds a special kind of terror, where the darkness seems to come alive with unseen horrors, and the line between reality and nightmare blurs into nothingness. And for those who dare to brave its depths, the night shift will forever remain a realm of shadow and uncertainty, where the true horrors lie hidden, waiting to be discovered. Here are the 3 true night shift horror stories. If you are new to the channel, please subscribe and hit the notification bell right now, or be ready to face the creepy man in your dreams. The abandoned hospital stood as a decaying monument to a forgotten era of medicine. Nestled on the outskirts of town, its once pristine halls now lay in ruins, the faded paint peeling from its walls like the skin of a snake shedding its old life. For Jack, the night shift security guard tasked with patrolling its empty corridors, the hospital held a chilling allure, a place where the past whispered secrets too dark to be heard by the light of day. Jack had taken the job as a security guard at the abandoned hospital out of necessity. With a family to support and bills to pay, he couldn't afford to be picky about his employment opportunities. But as the weeks turned into months, Jack found himself drawn to the desolate building, its silent halls calling out to him like a siren song, promising secrets waiting to be uncovered. It started with the whispers, faint and barely audible at first, like the rustling of leaves in the wind. Jack heard them as he made his rounds, the sound echoing through the empty corridors like the voices of the dead, calling out from beyond the grave. At first, he dismissed them as the product of his tired mind, the result of too many nights spent alone in the darkness. But as the whispers grew louder, more insistent, Jack couldn't shake the feeling that something sinister lurked within the abandoned hospital's walls. One night, as Jack patrolled the deserted halls, he'd heard the unmistakable sound of footsteps echoing down the corridor behind him. He froze, his heart pounding in his chest, and turned slowly, his flashlight trembling in his hand. But the hallway was empty, bathed in darkness so thick it seemed to swallow the light of his flashlight whole. Jack felt a chill run down his spine as he realized he was alone, the only living soul in a building that should have been empty. As Jack continued his patrol, the footsteps followed him, growing louder with each passing moment. He quickened his pace, his breath coming in ragged gasps, but no matter how fast he ran, the footsteps remained just behind him, a constant reminder of the darkness that lurked in the shadows. Then suddenly they stopped, and Jack felt a cold chill seep into his bones as a voice whispered in his ear, "Don't leave us alone." Terrified, Jack fled the abandoned hospital, his heart racing as he stumbled out into the cold night air. He didn't stop running until he reached the safety of his car, the distant echoes of the whispers still ringing in his ears. As he drove away, Jack vowed never to return to the abandoned hospital, but the memory of that fateful night would haunt him for the rest of his days, a constant reminder of the darkness that lurked within its decaying walls. The small rural hospital stood as a beacon of hope in a world shrouded in darkness. Its whitewashed walls gleamed in the sunlight, a testament to the healing power of modern medicine. Among its dedicated staff was Nurse Emily, a young woman with a heart of gold and a passion for helping others. But when a mysterious patient arrived one fateful night, Nurse Emily would find herself drawn into a world of darkness and despair unlike anything she had ever experienced before. Nurse Emily had always dreamed of making a difference in the world, of using her skills to help those in need. That's why she had chosen a career in nursing, sacrificing her own comfort and security for the chance to make a difference in the lives of others. But nothing could have prepared her for the horrors that awaited her within the walls of the small rural hospital, horrors that would shake her to her very core and test the limits of her courage and compassion. The mysterious patient arrived at the hospital under cover of darkness, brought in by paramedics who found him lying unconscious on the side of the road. He was heavily bandaged from head to toe, his features obscured by layers of gauze, and he refused to speak, communicating only through erratic gestures and handwritten notes. Nurse Emily's curiosity was piqued from the moment she laid eyes on him, her nurse's instinct telling her that there was more to this patient than met the eye. Despite Nurse Emily's best efforts to unravel the patient's story, he remained elusive, his eyes darting nervously around the room whenever she asked him a question. Strange occurrences began to plague the hospital, with equipment malfunctioning and eerie whispers echoing through the halls, seemingly emanating from the patient's room. Nurse Emily couldn't shake the feeling that something was terribly wrong, that the patient held secrets too dark to be spoken aloud. One night, Nurse Emily entered the patient's room to find it empty, the bed neatly made and the window wide open. A trail of blood led from the bed to the window, disappearing into the darkness beyond. Terrified, Nurse Emily rushed to alert the hospital staff, but despite a thorough search of the grounds, the patient was never found. His disappearance would haunt Nurse Emily for the rest of her days, a constant reminder of the darkness that lurked just beyond the reach of the hospital's fluorescent lights. The factory stood as a monument to industry, its smokestacks belching toxic fumes into the night sky like the exhalations of some ancient beast. Among its workers was John, a hardworking man with a wife and children to support. But when strange occurrences began to plague the factory's night shift, John would find himself drawn into a world of darkness and despair unlike anything he had ever experienced before. John had worked at the factory for as long as he could remember, toiling away on the assembly line day in and day out to provide for his family. He was a man of few words, preferring to let his actions speak for themselves, but beneath his stoic exterior lay a heart filled with love and compassion. He would do anything for his family, even if it meant sacrificing his own safety and sanity in the process. It started with small things, tools moving on their own accord, shadows darting across the machinery, and eerie whispers echoing through the empty halls. At first, John dismissed them as the product of an overactive imagination, the result of too many nights spent alone in the darkness. But as the nights passed, the occurrences grew more frequent, more unsettling, until John couldn't ignore them any longer. One night, while working alone in the factory, John saw something that chilled him to the core, a ghostly figure lurking in the shadows, its eyes glowing with an otherworldly light. Frozen with fear, John watched as the apparition beckoned him closer, its spectral form wavering in the dim light. He knew he should run, that he should flee the factory and never look back, but something held him in place, a primal fear that rooted him to the spot like a deer caught in the headlights of an oncoming car. In a panic, John fled the factory, his heart pounding in his chest as he stumbled out into the cold night air. He didn't stop running until he reached the safety of his home, where he collapsed into his wife's arms, his body trembling with fear. It would be years before John could bring himself to speak of the horrors he had witnessed in the factory that night, and even then the memory would haunt him like a specter lurking just beyond the edge of his consciousness. If you liked the video, share your thoughts in the comments. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell icon for latest updates. See you in the next video.